Hello, Brother Monroe here. Welcome back to Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts, where once again I'm joined by special guest and resident naval expert, Dreadnoughts.
Hello.
Hello. And today we are doing another Division 3 ship for the Battleship League. So what ship are we going to be looking at today?
We're going to have a look at Japan's Super Dreadnought Nagato. Or Nagato, or some other variant thereof, depending on how you want to pronounce it.
Yeah. So we've had a little bit of a discussion off camera before starting, because as we usually do with the hulls, because it takes us quite a while to decide on where we're going to start with the build. So this is the hull that we've kind of picked, because you're saying that the bow in particular was pretty close to.
Yeah, it's got this, what I call it, kind of a platform bow. It's not an exactly accurate description, but it's this kind of thing where you've got the hull flaring out, but the upper deck of the ship continues in a straight slab line. It's similar to the Queen Elizabeth. Very kind of 1910s dreadnought design-ish.
Yeah, and then we've got the casements down the side, and we actually have more than we need, I think, already. And this is the smallest version of this hull. So, what kind of speed was she able to get to? And then we can start working our way through the rest of the ship.
So, we're obviously going for her 1944-45 design characteristic. So she's 25 knots at that point. She actually drops speed. In her original configuration, she was capable of just over 26, but she slows down because of all the extra stuff that was stuffed onto her.
Yeah, well, I suppose it makes sense. And what about bulkheads? Was she a particularly well-protected ship, or just
standard?
Standard, all right. And we'll try not to fiddle with the beam and draft. What is her length and beam, out of interest? Because we know the draft figure is
yeah. So historically, at the time of her, at the end of the war, her length is 538 feet.
Okay, so this is a bit longer at 785.
So it's about 50 foot longer, and her beam is 113 feet.
And we're at 101. So
it's just slightly narrower, but slightly longer than historical.
Okay, but not too bad. And we can't fiddle with this figure by adjusting this slider annoyingly.
No,
because we've tried that before. And she would have a regular crew, as all the ships have had. And crew quarters, presumably standard, or
the Japanese quarters weren't particularly nice, but they were standard for their fleet.
Yeah. It doesn't make much of a difference in battle. I think it slightly increases crew loss if you have cramped quarters, but I mean that's not going to be a huge issue in a one-on-one straight up fight like this.
No.
Okay, would you like to do the towers next?
Right.
So we've got three options. We have the standard pagoda tower. Yep. We have the big pagoda tower, and
even more.
And then we have the advanced pagoda tower.
Fortunately, as sleek as that looks, she doesn't have the advanced. So let's have a look at the other two.
So we've got standard. Which has kind of the kind of pillbox, and then the bridge here, and then another bridge up there. And then, just stuff all the way off into the sky, and rangefinders everywhere.
Yeah. And then the other one?
And the other one...
The big one.
Is, I think, the same model.
Just taller.
Just a bit taller.
Let's see. Okay, let's have a look at it from the side. Yeah, annoyingly sticking the conning tower in front rather than as part of the overall structure, but much as I hate to disappoint fans of the pagoda tower, like all three of them, I think we're going to have to go with the standard one.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's just going to look silly.
Sure.
Well, sillier.
Sillier. Okay. So that doesn't look too bad. I mean, it still looks very odd, but it's I suppose not terrible. And then secondary tower, we have 4 different options. We've got one that kind of looks like that, with this kind of weird Y-shaped ducting at the back. I think this is yeah, that's just a bigger version. And then this one is slightly different. It has a kind of searchlight mounted on the back, and a slightly different in the details. And I think that one, yeah, this one has a more pronounced kind of I don't know what that is, mast.
The boat
at the back.
Boat crane.
Yeah.
What's happened? What's with the first one, Toolsec 1? No, that's almost a pole mast. Okay. Okay, then we've got, and then 3. And then 4. See, the only one with two yard arms is 4. Which would match her historically. So, stuff it. Let's go with 4.
All right. It's huge. Look at that.
Yes.
It's enormous.
Yeah, it's not quite. That's not quite accurate, but it's. But the thing is, like, do we want a short tower with an incorrect mast, or do we want a tall tower with an overly tall tower with a correct mast?
I think this one is definitely the best fit.
Yeah.
I was purely going from that looks like they could actually put some sails on it.
Yes.
and
away she goes.
Yeah, auxiliary engine sail. Yeah. Right. What about funnels? We have.
So she just has the one.
Few options. We've got these kind of up and down affairs, and then we have the bigger, more kind of complicated towers.
Platforms.
Funnels with these kind of platformy bits at the bottom.
I'm just trying to find a... Problem is, most of the pictures of it are so completely dominated by the ridiculousness that is the the pagoda. As the other problem is there's a huge amount of photos of her from the Bikini Atoll tests, which doesn't help because at that point she was either already quite chewed up by the time she got to the Bikini Atoll test, and then after the atomic bomb explosion she wasn't looking particularly hot either.
No.
So,
I suppose the other main kind of visual difference between the two funnel types is this one has these kind of ribs
on it,
and this one is smooth but has these kind of auxiliary kind of pipes going up the side of it.
Trying to get a clear shot of the funnel. The problem is there's a ton of photos of her in her early life, and there's a ton of photos of her at the end of her life.
But not much in the middle.
Not much. Well, it's this very critical period of actual World War II where, unfortunately, the Japanese had a very annoying habit of burning everything. In her earlier iteration, she had a couple of fairly major refits over time. In her earlier iteration, she actually has 2 funnels in various configurations, but this is her 1945 configuration, so she's not going to have that. The ribbed style at the back is very definitely accurate to her earlier forms. Just thank goodness we're not doing her interwar period with a raked funnel. That would have been a nightmare. I'd say probably the one you've got forward is just fractionally more accurate for later
Okay.
iterations.
And there are two versions of that. I think one is just one's just bigger than the other.
Yeah, I'll go for the big one. She did have a fairly
Right.
big funnel. I mean, historically, it was actually bigger than the secondary tower, but we're not going to accomplish that with our current choice.
No, I don't think even with the small tower, I don't think we'd manage that. That's an enormous
Mm.
funnel. Oh my goodness. Um, what about where the tower and the funnel kind of were placed? Were they all together? Or they?
No, so you've got, because she used to have two funnels.
Hmm.
You have the superstructure. Ostensibly should be a little bit further forward. So the super, that's about a bit one more there. Oh.
Okay.
Okay, and then the funnel should be pretty much dead center amidships.
Okay. So kind of here.
There-ish, yeah. And then kind of the same spacing from the funnel back to the secondary to the tower, because then there's a fairly big gap between that and the aft turret, which that actually works.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. And should we do the main guns just now?
Yes.
Okay. So what was she armed with?
4 twin 16-inch.
Okay. And
So in super firing, so got barbette. We need to stick up front. That's going to be fairly close to the.
okay. I think standard is too short. A tall will work.
Yeah.
But it is kind of narrower than the turret
base of the gun.
I don't
Do you have
know
a slightly
what
bigger tall one?
Yeah, we do. So we have the very tall, imaginatively named, but that looks quite similar.
Yeah, I'm thinking, do we have a wider tall one?
Yeah, I think the next one would be the enlarged, which kind of gives you
That's a bit comically too big.
Okay. I've found this as well when I'm trying to do 16-inch guns, because other than that, I mean, then we're on to like ridiculous things like that.
Yeah, I think I would just go for the tall.
Enormously huge.
Well, except that it looks a little bit spindly, but I think we'll just go for the tall standard.
Okay, tall. There we go.
And that has to then come right back, because there. And then bring that forward gun a bit more. Yeah, that's about right.
Okay.
And so that's her two forward guns, and then we replicate this aft with. I've kindly provided us a barbette there,
and then the 16 doesn't fit.
Can we fit
come on!
Can we fit a really tiny thin barbette on the barbette?
I wish you could, and I wish this was slightly higher, because that's clearly designed to fit a 16-inch gun. But no, it won't let you place barbettes there. The best you can do is kind of trying to fit I think you can get a medium like there. I know it looks hideous, but you could do that.
It's close enough for government work.
Yeah, and we'll just ignore those boats that are
just random boats.
Just pretend that is there, please.
Yes.
Yes, I wish that was just slightly taller. I can't remember. I think maybe these gun models came along after the hull or something. But yes, it would be lovely if you could just kind of raise that up just a tiny bit. I think.
I mean, they've given them, like, for example, they've given them the rangefinder ears on all of them, when actually the two lower guns didn't have them, and I suspect if they didn't, that might actually
it would fit.
Just about solve the problem. But oh well.
Oh well. Yeah. We just have to kind of make do.
Maybe the alternate title for this series should be Franken Battleships.
Yes, absolutely. We tried.
Yes.
Right. What about secondaries and casements?
Okay, so Casement Weapons, by 1944-45, she has 18 single 140mm or 5.5-inch gun. So let's go with 5-inch because we know every time we try and go with slightly bigger, it causes us problems. And of those, we need two pairs in the superstructure if we can.
No, it doesn't give us any mounting points for them. We might be able to fit some single 5-inch guns.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Actually, they look like that. No, there's no.
Oh my word.
No mounting points for them.
Okay, well that bodes ill.
We can replicate the results of 9 though, because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got 8 casement slots each side.
Okay, so let's fill the casement slots then.
It's a bit of kind of replicating the result, not the actual actual ship. And then did she have any smaller ones?
No. Well, this is now she also has 4 twin 5-inch. The high sort of anti-aircraft mountings. Where the heck we're supposed to get these on this ship, I don't know. But okay, maybe there.
Fit a couple there.
Yeah, and see if we can get one after the funnel as well.
Yeah, there we go.
It's not awful.
No, it doesn't look too bad.
No, I mean it's a slight fudge compared to where they were. But again, it's you look at you look at almost any Japanese ship of that era, and it's a complete kludge of things they've randomly thrown together. And then we just cover the whole thing in 25mm or our little 2-inch.
Should be quite a few spots for them.
Yeah, for all the good it'll actually do anybody.
Well, I don't know. We had some fairly close range fights in some of the previous rounds.
Yeah. Now, historically, originally she did actually have torpedo tubes, but by 1945 she doesn't.
Okay. Sure, I missed I'm sure I took 2 off, but never mind.
Oh well.
I think we're all right. Okay. Yeah. she's certainly an interesting looking ship.
I mean, she is looking kind of Nagato-like.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely looks like a Japanese battleship to me, anyway.
Yeah.
It's a non-expert. Right. What about?
She kind of looks like an odd hybrid between her previous incarnation and her final one.
Which I don't know. I guess we've kind of taken the average. Mean Nagato. What about her components?
So she's got oil. She's oil driven, but if we're going to go by 1945, oil 1, because by that point she's literally just pouring Dutch crude oil into her tanks,
God,
and hoping they don't last long enough. They're actually balanced. She's not got a bad engine set when it's not being force fed sludge. Geared 2 because she got a refit.
Yep.
Augs 2, she does have some backup power. Shaft 2, semi-balanced, it's fine, and probably electro-hydro. Kind of she's middle of the pack for all of this stuff.
Okay.
Right, Krupp armor. So, I mean, Japanese armor's hard to quantify. They're not half bad at actually making the stuff.
Yeah.
The material quality isn't brilliant. Sort of the raw materials, but they do kind of get around that a fair bit. I'd say, for fairness, I'd give her Krupp 3 because she is a late World War One era battleship, and we said that it's Krupp 4 is for the advanced formulations you get in the American, not the American, in the British and German ships.
Yeah.
So let's give her Krupp 3 for the sake of argument. I mean, I don't think it's going to help her that much when we get to the armor thickness, but
okay. A bit of foreshadowing.
Barbette 2, I think. Again, foreshadowing a little there. She did get revised anti-torpedo protection, so it didn't work very well. Let's say anti-torp 3.
Okay.
Double hull. Reinforced 1, anti-flood 2, and now was she the all or nothing? That's the question. No, she wasn't all or nothing. So armored Citadel then, Citadel 3.
Interesting. That's yeah. Okay. What
Right.
about shells and
As a battleship,
guns?
she's going to have an its increased AP ratio. Um, probably increased HE with her
Yeah,
secondaries.
because
Base
she
fuse
doesn't have
again.
any kind of heavy secondaries, does she?
No.
So yeah.
Capped ballistic. One. Yeah, capped ballistic one. Let me just. Yeah, capped ballistic one because she gets some updated APC shells. They're just not Yamato. So again, we're
Yeah.
keeping the absolute top end stuff for things like Yamato and Iowa.
Sure.
Standard size, standard shells, cordite 3, and picric acid, which is fairly much for muchness. Electrical on the turrets because they're pretty sharp. I mean, they're not particularly quick, but
And then presumably enhanced or semi.
yeah.
For the guns. We can have a look at the.
Let's go with semi-auto for the minute, based on our experiences building Nelson.
Sure. So that gives her rate of fire of 1.48 rounds per minute,
Which is, for the longer range engagements, accurate. She can fire a bit quicker at short range, historically, but yeah, for most engagements, that's probably about right.
Okay. And we've got shell weights for this, for AP shells anyway, of 1,782 kilos, going out at 796
Okay, we're
meters per
going to have to
second.
dial that back to light shells.
Okay. That puts them down to 1,375 kilos.
I mean, it's still hilariously overweight, but it's not quite as hilariously overweight. It's almost double.
Yeah, and 796 meters per second.
That's actually not bad. That's within the ballpark of her actual figures.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. That she has to have the lighter shells to kind of match what they actually were. All right. What about rangefinder?
Rangefinder, coincidence 4. Again, got pretty good coincidence rangefinders, but nothing. No, she's not got Yamato scale ones. Hydro. Advanced radio. The Japanese were a bit behind electronically, and she does actually have radar by the end, but a Gen 1.
Okay. That's not terrible setup. Right, what about her armour?
12-inch maximum thickness.
Okay.
She's going to suffer against the opposition with that belt.
Oof. I mean, for comparison, her own gun, it says with an AP round that you can go through that belt at almost anywhere, 25,000 meters. They reckon those 16s,
which is about as far as you're going to be accurately hitting.
Will punch through. So the second she gets shot at, it's probably going to go through that. Just enough to arm the shells.
Yes. Very polite.
What about her 4.5 belt?
4.5 belt is so basically by this point it's splinter proofing.
Okay.
So 1.5. Her deck is interesting because her deck is a multi-layered deck. It's 2.7 inch and 3.9 inch and 1.5 inch, which is, but because it's layered, it's not actually as effective as adding all of them together would suggest.
Yeah.
So if I just do a quick bit of math with the equivalencies, it is 3. It's equivalent to 5.7.
Okay.
Which, I mean, it's just not terrible.
It's not terrible.
But not brilliant compared to the fact that physically Ms. Matt have like that's 5, 6, 7, or over 8 inches of deck.
Yeah. Was that just because they were added at different stages, and they thought, oh, we'll put a bit more
She
armor
starts
on that
off
deck.
with 2 separated armor decks.
Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, I mean it's okay. Nothing. I wouldn't write home about it too much. 1.5 at either end again because they've kind of refitted her. The turret, and then what have we got? Conning tower is 14.5, and the superstructure again is just
kind of 1.5.
Yeah, 1.5 splinter proof.
Turrets.
Turrets. Now, by the time she's been upgraded, then her turrets are now 18.1.
Wow.
Forward. Yeah, they were considerably less, but now they've just got massive slabs of armor stuck to them. The sides there are going to be 11 inches.
And the tops?
And the top, oh, right, the top is 9.8 max.
Wow. Well, hopefully she doesn't suffer the same fate as Congo with those heavily armored turrets. Yeah, that's really interesting because certainly from I'm purely talking a game point of view here. That is kind of a roughly how I armor up turrets when I'm doing a battleship, which is the caliber +2 and then halved for the top. So
yeah, the secondaries, however, are only protected by 1 inch.
Wait. There we go.
It's all or nothing on the gun armament.
And is that the same for the casements as well? Yeah.
Yeah, it's all just splinter proofing.
All right. Well, that brings her out at 39,509 tons. Which kind of does split the difference between her kind of early and her later displacements.
Yeah, and is actually almost worryingly, almost exactly spot on for her. In fact, to within a single long ton of her standard 1945 displacement, as opposed to her full load.
There we go.
So let's see. I mean, we can increase her range is a bit more. Her range should be 16,000.
Okay. We are either 15.3 or 17.5-ish.
The 15.3 is closer.
Yeah. That puts her up to 43.21.
Which is, again, it's getting a bit closer to her historical normal displacement.
I think that's pretty...
Yeah, and I think that possibly also where we're also losing some displacement is because we haven't put in the physical thickness of the deck because of that layered nature. So we've got the effective thickness. So yeah, I think if we added another 3 inches of deck armor, that's probably going to ramp the displacement up a fair bit. Her barbette armor by the time she's refitted also should be 18 inch. I don't know if we put that in. So actually her barbette should have barbette 3, I think, at that point. I was reading initially off of her her and then does it give us an option for barbette armor?
Well, all it really says is just these options here. So heavy or thickest possible.
Thickest possible is like Yamato scale, so she's still not quite there.
Yeah. I think she looks pretty good. I think that's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely looks the part.
Yeah, definitely. I'll take her out for a quick spin. So yeah, if you're watching this in order, we've got her and Nelson. So we've got 2 16-inch armed ships, which is a bit of a theme in this division. But yeah, she's definitely, I think, looks about right to me. Yeah,
her profile's pretty good. Just like you'd look at it and go, that's Nagato, but not quite.
I mean, that's pretty much as close as we get when we're doing this. Because unless the developers have put in, because there are 1 or 2 hulls and tower combinations that are clearly based on the historical ship.
Yes. As and when we get around to Yamato, I suspect we'll probably be able to do a near 1-to-1.
Yeah, because they added that hull in, like, it was called the Yamato style hull for a while. In the game.
There's the Richelieu hull for the French as well.
I actually quite like the look of that ship.
Mm.
It's just a shame about that gun, but that's kind of the best we can do with a 16-inch. But as you said, without the kind of bunny ears, it probably would have been able to
probably
fit.
would have worked.
So, no, I think that looks really good. I'm interested to see how she does. Very interesting, the armor scheme especially for me from a game point of view is very interesting with those really heavily protected turrets, but not so well protected everywhere else.
It's kind of embraced the all or nothing concept in some ways, but not others.
Yeah, very interesting. Well, thank you very, very much, as always, and I look forward to the next ship, and hopefully those of you watching are too, and we'll see you again soon for some more Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. Bye for now.
See you later.